game I played.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay. So in round one, I played Ethan, which we already looked at. This is round two against Harry Lee. It's pronounced Le, but I'm calling him Lee because that's what we do in America. Sorry. His brother Benny Lee is also a good player, and Harry's better. And
Mm-hmm.
they come to our chess club when we had it, and they live near here and so forth.
I've
So
played Benny many times, the younger one.
yeah, this guy's like 2250 USCF.
Mm-hmm.
I played him once when he was like A player expert, like extra rated game, and he hung a piece on move like 7, so I won. He played till mate, but now he's a lot better, so it's not fair. Okay, I was white, and we played a Nimzo Indian. I played Queen C2 in the Nimzo, and he played a topical line with Queen takes D5. And here, white has two moves, and I usually play E3, but I never get any advantage. So I played the more common knight F3 in this game, which I prepared for the game. Knight F3, and Queen F5 is the idea of Queen takes D5. And it's slightly more common to trade queens than to play Queen B3, but I've always played Queen B3. And here, I thought C5 was the most common and Knight C6 was second. But when I looked at the game afterwards in my database, Knight C6 was more common. And that's the only move that I faced. I've had this position once, about 20 years ago. Thanks, Finegold. Yeah, I was thinking of a joke to make, but I couldn't think of a good one about the topical line. Um, so, yeah, actually, I had this position when I was it Central America or South America? I think it was Belize. And at that point, it was a tropical line. Okay. Now, I don't know any theory, but I did look at some games. But this is a move that I played 20 years ago was A3, and my opponent blundered a piece. But my opponent here did not blunder a piece. 20 years ago, my opponent played Bishop D6. His name's Robert O'Donnell. He's 2200 something. And then E4 wins a piece because I'm attacking his queen, and then E5 would be a fork. And then if he takes, I pin his knight to his queen. So now I'm winning. This happened in a Grandmaster game, in a rapid game, and Black won, which doesn't make any sense because Black should resign here. My opponent resigned in like 4 moves. So, okay, anyway, my opponent didn't play Bishop D6 losing. He played Bishop C3. And now I made a suspect decision. Normally, I would play Queen takes C3 without thinking. But then I started thinking, not my strong suit. And I took with the pawn, which I think is bad. And he played castles. And now I was very concerned about him playing E5. I didn't know what to do about E5, E4. I didn't like setting up my pieces. Like E3, my bishop's no good. E4 is not possible, etc. This is annoying. So I played the engine move here. It's not a move a human would think of, but I thought of it and I played it. And I thought of it out of necessity because I didn't like my position and I was trying to figure a way to weasel my way out, which is what separates humans from other animals, except the weasel. Simpsons. So I played Queen B1. A paradoxical decision because I played Queen C2 earlier, and after Queen F5, I didn't trade queens, and now I go back to B1 to trade queens. But there is a difference. I have the 2 bishops, and now I'm stopping E5, E4. If he plays E5, I can take his queen and then win a pawn. Also, I don't really care about E5, E4 in an endgame. I care about it in the middle game where he's going to checkmate me because my king on E1. When I play the Queen C2 Nimzo Indian, which I've been doing since before you were sucking at your mother's teat, you don't develop the king side too quickly. You're getting 2 bishops, you're fighting for E4, you're getting a good center, but sometimes your king stays on E1 for a while. Okay, my opponent traded, which surprised me. And I took with the rook, so my rook's on a nice open file. And he played b6. White's slightly better here. I do have 2 bishops after all. Bishop b7, c4, which is explosive. Bishop a6 surprised me because he just played bishop b7. So you can see that I was surprised. Bishop b2, developing my bishop. Rook c8, I think, is just a bad move. It just loses a tempo. He wants to play knight a5, c5, but I think this is too slow. Probably he should play knight e4 and get his knight to a good square. I played knight d2, stopping knight e4, defending my pawn on c4, and I want to push in the center because I like making arrows. Rook d8, stopping me from playing e4 because then my pawn's hanging. Bishop c3. If he plays knight a5, I want to just chop it off and mess up his pawn structure. h6 I didn't understand, and I still don't. Bishop e2. Actually, I do understand h6. It's good for the endgame when I'm trying to mate him on the back rank. H6 actually came in handy. So, shows you what I know. Knight e7 surprised me. And I played e4 because when his knight was on c6, I couldn't play e4 because my d4 pawn is insufficiently defended, but now it isn't. So now I can play e4 before he gets in c5. Once he plays c5, he's probably doing fine. Thanks, I am Rix.
Thanks, I am Rix. And I forgot, what is Harry's rating?
His USCF is 2250-ish.
Okay.
Okay, and he played knight g6. He wants to put his knight on f4, so I played g3. And he played c5. Now, here I got lucky. And there's a lot of luck in chess, which is hard to explain to the gawking rabble. There's actually several instances of luck in chess. This is one of them. There's other ones too. This one is my opponent made a move I didn't see, and it was a tactical move, and it could be I'm just losing, but it turned out I was not. But it could have been, so I was lucky that it wasn't. And here I played d5, which is the best move, and my opponent played a move I didn't see. In fact, I still don't see it. No, he played ed. I know that. Okay. Yeah, and here he surprised me, and the engine doesn't like his move. But when he played it, I was like, am I just going to lose in one move? That's what I was thinking. And this is a move that I should see because it's a tactic, it's a capture, it's a threat. So I expected bishop takes e2, and that is the engine move. Then white's better because white has a nice center. Thanks for the $2. Hooray. Okay, and he played knight takes d5, which I hadn't looked at. So, of course, when your opponent plays a tactical move like that that you didn't see, you get upset. And when people get upset, well, I can't say the rest of the quote because, what just happened recently, but watch Pulp Fiction. Okay, now, in this position, the obvious idea behind knight takes d5 is if I capture the knight, he plays rook e8, and I have a small problem. And there's no blue pill that'll fix this small problem. Even though the board's sort of blue, my shirt's blue. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to lose my bishop, and then I'm just losing. Terrible. Okay, so I have to play bishop takes a6, knight takes c3, and he's up a pawn. And now I play rook c1. And of course, when he played knight takes d5, then I calculated everything, and I knew it was fine for me. But before, I was like, am I losing? Now here, it looks like black is just losing. Black's rook is attacked on c8, and his knight's attacked on c3, and knight a2 just traps his knight. I played rook c2, and your knight's trapped. But okay, obviously, he played knight takes d5, so he sees this, and he sees he can play rook takes d2. And the idea is, if I play the obvious bishop takes a c8, now I'm up in exchange, and 2 pieces are hanging. So it looks good, but it's not because he plays rook a2. And I can't take his knight because rook a1 check wins my rook in the corner. But if I don't take his knight, he can either take this pawn or more likely take this pawn and have 3 connected passed pawns. And this position, according to the engine, is slightly better for black. Okay, and I can't take the knight because he doubles up on the bubble up, and now he's up a pawn with a better position. So I have to play king takes rook, knight takes pawn check, and then move my king, and then he moves his rook. So now we have a position where he has 2 pawns for an exchange and a passed pawn and a better pawn structure. But the knights aren't really good together, especially the knight on g6. And my bishop is fantastic. So actually white's better here, surprisingly. And here I made a mistake. I have an emote about why this move is a mistake. So what I should play is rook h e1 attacking his knight. Knight takes f2, rook e8 check, and just let him take my f pawn and get some attack. Bishop d3 or bishop e2, rook f1. And I played f3, never do that. And when I played f3, I had this whole line calculated, which happened. However, the line I didn't calculate, which should have happened, would let him equalize. He should have played knight g5 here, attacking my pawn again, and the knight wants to go to d4. And for some reason, I only looked at knight d6, which he played, because it looks like he's trapping my bishop, or his knight is going to d4 with other methods. Rook d1, rook check, bishop d3. And this is the position I saw when I played f3. And this position's really good for white. So he shouldn't play knight d6, knight f5. So I was right about that. Okay, and now he thought a long time. Because there's some kind of mating net here. There's rook here, rook here, mate. And there's also, more importantly, h4, h5. Winning his knight. And after h4, if he plays h5, I play g4. And I'm really getting at his king and his pinned knight and such. So he played f5, which is the engine move. And 20 years ago, I would have played the right move here immediately. And it took me forever to play it because I was analyzing nonsense. I was like, I could go here and then here and then here and then here and then here. I was looking at g4, like crazy moves. And any like super grandmaster just immediately plays the right move here. And it took me forever to play it. And when I played it, I knew it was right. And I was mad at myself for thinking about g4 for so long and other moves. What did I do, Karen? Oop, here you go.
What was your move? I don't know.
I'm asking. You got to find my move.
Oh. Okay. I haven't seen any of your games.
If I show this position to any, like, somebody who's good, like, you know, Magnus, it just immediately says the move and that's it. There is no other move. But for me, 10, 20, 30 years ago, I would do this pretty quickly. And here I thought like 12 minutes because I'm looking at nonsense. Terrible. If you have an engine, it's easy. Just look and see what the engine says.
I don't know.
No, it's f4.
Oh.
Yeah, that's clearly the best move. It fixes this pawn. It stops knight e5, and it saves my pawn. It's positionally exactly what you want to do. It gets rid of black's counterplay. And now, even though he has 2 pawns for a piece, and his knight on d4 looks pretty good, the engine says I'm up 2.2 because my bishop on d3 is just a great bishop. My pawn structure is stable. My other rook is coming into the game, etc. Okay, he played knight e7, trying to get his knight into the game. Rook e1. Thanks for the 200 centimeters, Finegold.
Yay, thank you, Finn.
b5, trying to get counterplay. g4. And the reason I played g4, which the engine isn't a big fan of, is I knew he was going to play a5, b4, and push his queenside pawns, and I wanted to annoy him on the king side. But the engine says I should play king b2 and then not annoy him on the king side. But okay. I still like my decision. Yeah, because now by taking on f5, my rook is attacking like his whole 4th rank. g6. I took because I didn't like his knights. I wanted to get rid of his knights. And then I doubled up on the bubble up. So what's key in this position to me is having pawns on the board. When you're up material, like an exchange or a piece or a rook, you want pawns on the board. If there's no pawns on the board, I won't win 2 rooks doesn't beat a rook and a knight. And he has a lot more pawns than me. He wants to trade pawns. And after b4 check, king c4, he made a very bad move. I was hoping he wouldn't take my pawn on a3. If he takes the pawn on a3, probably a draw is more likely than a win. That's why it doesn't like my g4, gf, and all this stuff. Although it does say I'm up like 0.5. I am going to win all of his queenside pawns, but it's hard to win with my separated pawns and all the pawns on the same side. But he made a mistake here. He played h5. This is a very instructive mistake. If he has a chess coach, this would be a good time for his chess coach to yell at him. Okay, I need pawns on the board to win. I'm the one playing for the win. My king is good, his isn't. My rooks are going to take all of his queenside pawns, and he's just defending. And the only way I can win for sure is if I can keep my a3 pawn. So when he played h5, I was very happy. Because now I played. The only way to keep my a pawn.
Let's see. I guess a4.
Man, did I play that fast.
But
yeah, now I'm going to take all his queenside pawns, and I have one left. Yes. The engine says I'm up 0.4 if he takes my a pawn, and now I'm up 5. It says h5 is like triple question mark. Botes live rated with a party of 3151.
Yay! Thank you.
Now, Andrea, if you're there, I'm not saying you're there, but if you're there, is your tournament next week the National Open? She said she's playing in a tournament for the first time in years.
Well, they're doing this live sub battle. So
yeah, she said yes.
Yeah.
And you're doing the sub battle? Yeah, I'm the grandmaster, and I'm like doing the camp, and I'm doing game analysis. Karen's playing all the tournaments. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm playing the women's and the main event.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm deciding today on sub battle. Yeah, we have a link to the sub battle for the Google Doc. Mm-hmm. Thanks for the raid, by the way. Let's give them several shout outs.
Thank you.
Everybody, all of my mods, obviously you should have already shouted them out, but you don't do anything. You're like,
What did I call this thing? Vegas. So
yeah, but give a shout out to Botes Live.
We got it going.
Botes Live and iStream is like that, son. We can't call ourselves Finegold Live because she's Boyd, so we can't solidify, you know.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for the raid. And I'm not sure if both of you are going to be in Vegas or just Andrea, but we'll see you guys, at least one of you.
I want the San Francisco quarterback to marry Janine Garofalo so that she can be Garoppolo. But it's not happening. I don't understand.
See,
just me, Alex will be commenting or commentating. But you're both going to be there? Ben is the third Botes. I thought the dad was the third Botes. I go all alone. You're going all alone to Vegas by yourself? Are you old enough to do that? What?
Yay, well, that's great. And we look forward to seeing you.
All right, let's see if Karen's paying attention.
All right.
I made fun of Botes' age by insinuating she was younger than she is. Who do I do that to the most?
Epiphany.
But Epiphany deserves it. She does look like she's 13.
Aw.
I mean, she does. She's like 27, but still. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, not Jude, because Jude is a kid.
Oh, you're not old enough yet, Andrea?
You're insinuating you don't have a fake ID? I don't believe you.
Oh, man, I love Vegas so much.
I don't believe it.
Why do you hate Vegas? I love Vegas so much.
Well, if you're under 21,
oh, yeah, that's
then,
right. I guess. Well, when you turn 21,
she would never have a fake ID. Yeah.
I gambled.
Man, when
she
was
19.
not 21, she was
out. I got kicked out of the I forgot the name of this, the Frontiers Casino because I was underage. So then I went over to Caesar's Palace and gambled over there.
Now, in my opinion,
yeah,
and you'll tell me I'm right or wrong.
All right.
For my recollection, when you were gambling under 21, you didn't know you were doing anything wrong, or you
No,
did?
I didn't even know the age there.
Right. She thought it was fine. She was 20 or 19. She thought
I
that
went
was
there
fine.
with my dad. We just didn't know. We didn't have internet back then. Somehow we got confused and thought I was old enough. So I gambled for a couple of days before they thought to card me.
Some guy asked Andrea to unban him in all caps, and then 2 of my mods tried to ban him at the same time. Pat's like, oh man, you beat me out to it. That was funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrea, what section are you playing in? You told me you don't have a rating, but now the truth is going to come out. Stephen O'Donoghue subscribed. Thank you. Under 2100? Yeah, you should do well there.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to do great.
You're going to lose to all the kids? Well, maybe. Yeah, the kids are good. 100 centidues. Thanks, Jude.
Thank you, Jude.
I'm also under 2100.
What section am I even playing in?
Under 1700.
I'm in the under 1700.
Hey, Andrea, Karen gained 90 rating points in Chicago.
I did. Mm-hmm. But I'm only 13 something now. I'm not very good. I was happy. I've been doing so many tactics, Andrea. You just wouldn't even believe it. The tactic machine. Thank you, Linda, for all those gift subs. I've been doing a lot of chess study. And so you got to do your tactics too. I just feel like I'm ready to get my rating up a little more.
Now I'm going to give you some good news, Andrea. I'm going to give you 2 good news. Two. Okay, good news number 1. And Karen's going to back me up. Ready to back me up?
Maybe, yeah. Okay.
There's not a lot of kids playing in Vegas. There's not. It's not like the World Open and the Chicago Open where everybody's a kid. It's not like that. It's mainly adults. Okay. Number 2 is you're going to play some people that had a rough night. And if you're not allowed to do anything because of your age and you don't go around that somehow, you'll actually do better in Vegas than you normally would, because some of your opponents aren't going to be in chess playing shape, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, they're up drinking and playing poker and blackjack.
And everything. They're just up. They're up all night, to get lucky. Like the song says. Yeah, there's not a lot of kids playing in the main event. There's not a lot.
Yeah, I can't back you up just because I've never done this tournament. Yeah. So I look forward to it. But I can't wait.
Kids are good. Yeah.
Hey, you should play. Are you going to be there, Andrea? Are you going to be there the Monday after the tournament? Because there's going to be a poker tournament with just the chess players in it that I'm going to play in.
You said kids know nothing the other day. Right, I'm talking about chess. In chess, kids are too good. In everything else in life, kids don't know anything.
Oh, darn.
Like Jude, you're a kid. Name the cast of Casablanca.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't even know what I'm talking about. You don't even know it's a movie. You don't know Casablanca's in Morocco. You don't know nothing. You got nothing.
Yeah,
you never heard of Rick's Cafe. You didn't know that Humphrey Bogart was 2000 at chess. You don't know anything. You're a kid. But you're good at chess because you're a kid. That's different. That's a different, yeah. You said they could not set up the pieces. Those are kids that I teach in schools. That's different. Not the kids at tournaments who beat me every game. Yeah. Jose Raul Casablanca. That's right. Okay, so A4 is an excellent move, and now he's just losing, and I have to have good technique. And my opponent said, you'll have to have good technique to win this game. And I said, good technique? That's just my game. Right, so I can't hang anything, but he does have a knight, but it's not a blitz game, so I can, yeah. And if Magnus Carlsen starts watching this stream now, he will cry on how good my technique is. Every move I made was the engine move, and not bad engines, good engines. Engines that don't exist anymore. I mean, yet. Also anymore, because they got rid of what did they get rid of? Deep Blue, what's the other one? Alpha Zero? Yeah.
They got rid of it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so he played here. I took. Now to show you how good my technique was and how on fire I was, I thought a long time before rook takes c5 because I almost played rook d3, which I did not do. And the reason is I go here, and if he plays knight d6 check and takes my rook, this is easily winning for white because I have a king and he doesn't. If you put this on an engine, it says I'm +8. Because this pawn's going to cost him a rook and he doesn't have any counterplay. He's got nothing. He's all talking a badge. So he didn't play knight d6 check. He played rook d7. He wanted to play here and take all my pawns. And I, of course, want to keep my a pawn. So this should be not so simple to win because he can push his kingside pawns and his knight is going to fork my king and rooks all over the place. But good technique. For an engine, it's easy. Man, engine wins this with no problem. So I played rook c3, and now pay attention.
I'm paying attention.
You see the way these are set up?
Yeah.
Yeah, a knight can't fork those, and they're the same color. And if the knight wants to fork the rooks or fork these two, it can't because they're 2 squares away diagonal. It can fork this way, but that's, if I move my king, it can't. When you keep your rooks like this, 2 squares away diagonal, then a knight can never fork them.
Huh.
And I want to play this move because I don't want his knight to go to the c file or his rook. And the rook on b3 can easily get attacked. And if I move my king, so let me explain it in a better way. I want to move my king so I can move my pawn. Where do I want to move my king? To b5, because if I move it to a6 or b6, he takes my pawn. If I move it to b5, knight check will fork my king and rook. So ergo, rook c3, ipso fatso. Okay, so he played knight d6. Now I can't play king b5 because it's illegal. If I play king b6, knight here check forks my king and rook. Although maybe I'm still winning there, doubt it. So I played rook d5 to avoid all forks. You could put the black knight anywhere on the board. It's not forking my king or my rooks. I set it up that way. Okay, now he has to do something with his knight. Now I finally get to push my a pawn. He attacked my h pawn. He wants to get counterplay. Nope. King c4. Now he wants to play knight e3 check. So I play here so he can't fork me. Now I move my king up to protect my pawn. And then I move my king up to protect my pawn. He threatens my rook, but I saw it. And then I move it back because he's checking me. Then I win a pawn. Hooray. And finally, when I'm about to queen my pawn, I sacrifice the exchange because...
Always sacrifice.
Right. Rook takes knight. Rook takes a7, etc. Mainly etc. And then instead of resigning, he checked me a couple times, and then he resigned. Hooray!
Yay.
For me, that was easily my best game of the tournament. Easily. Because the other games I played like an idiot. But this tournament, that was, etc.
Hey, I've got to answer this text real quick.
Yay, thanks, Xenoid.